I've been fortunate that after each of the companies that I've sort of built, I've had time off afterwards, and it's given me sort of really good time for reflection about what are the big challenges that I face, what are the big challenges that businesses face, both large and small. And every time that I've done that, the number one thing on the list has always been surrounding people. How do we reliably get the right skills in a fair and equitable way into the roles that I'm recruiting for, and building the teams that I want to build. And I actually think that talent acquisition teams have done a phenomenal job with the tools that they've had at hand over the last 10 years or so. And it's mainly been focused at kind of top of funnel, how to get people into, the top of the funnel, to then get into interviews and be interviewed by the lines of business to then recruit them afterwards. Where things have really fallen apart, or where things have got stuck, have been from that top of funnel, where talent acquisition teams are supplying a really good sort of supply of highly qualified candidates. What actually comes out the other end when they start getting interviewed? Because two people have gone into a room in an interview. They've had a conversation. One person's come out the other side and said, "I like them" or not, and nobody really knows what's been going on. And it's been a very, very big sort of area where I've just had issues with what's the quality of that interview, and did the candidate get a fair chance, and are we really assessing skills in the right way? So I see it as probably the biggest weak point or challenge point in the talent acquisition process. The one big thing that happened with COVID is that suddenly every interview went from being in a room where nobody knew what was going on, to being on Zoom and being in Teams, where suddenly if you can understand the conversation using AI, you can actually start understanding what questions people were asked, what skills they have, how well they were interviewed, what the conversation was all about. And just with the ability to understand that, with the ability to pull data out of it, we can actually see now how to improve that process, how to make it a massive amount more efficient. Because the first times we started seeing that, we could see that people getting asked, interviewed 5 different interviews, and they were being asked the same questions 5 different times. We were, we could see that people were spending way too much time talking about their favorite football team or their dog or whatever it might be, and and not actually getting into the real crux of actually finding out whether that person has the skills for the role. And just with all that data, we can now help guide the process. We can help make it more efficient. We can, more importantly, help make it more effective. We see things like first-year turnover rates drop significantly, and we can make sure that everybody has a fair and equitable chance of getting that role. So we've attacked that. We want to help the market in general, but we obviously have a lot of customers which we're helping go a lot deeper in, both providing a platform that supports interviewing now for really the first time ever, as well as providing a lot of those efficiencies back into companies as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I think there's tremendous opportunity there. I certainly agree. I've been on both sides of that interview conversation. Certainly, I mean, it's just human nature to try to find commonality with someone else. Is this someone, even just from a a culture and a sort of relationship standpoint? It's in our nature to want to find hopefully the best in people. But maybe some interviewers don't do that. Maybe they're looking for reasons to reject as opposed to reasons to accept. And if you don't have the sort of documented, evidence and traceability of how it actually went, then you're sort of trusting those interviewers. But you can't get better at interviewing if you don't do that. That's one aspect, I guess. The other is, how do you mitigate some of those human biases, of which we have dozens, as you know? How do you mitigate that in some way with technology, without technology actually making the decision? But at least it's presenting you with the right information, which is what we all want anyway, right? We're all trying to augment our own judgment with some type of, in your case, an interview co-pilot, or just somebody that can take meticulous notes, and then from there you've got everything that you need to make a data-backed decision.